The Galactic Council chamber was a marvel of alien ingenuity, an expansive amphitheater filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Each seat was customized for the species it hosted, from aquatic tanks to levitating platforms for beings that defied gravity. At the center of the room, illuminated by an overhead spotlight, stood Ryan Harper, the human ambassador. He was an anomaly in this room, not only for his humanoid appearance but for the sheer hostility radiating toward him. Ryan adjusted his suit, the tailored fabric feeling like armor in this hostile environment. Earth's invitation to the Council had not been unanimous. In fact, it had been a point of contention for years. Humanity's emergence into the galactic community had been rapid, too rapid for many of the elder species to be comfortable with. To them, humans were unpredictable, a species capable of remarkable ingenuity but equally capable of devastation. Ambassador Harper began a voice from the far side of the chamber. It belonged to High Chancellor Varesh of the Zarnak Dominion. His serpentine form coiled as he rose, towering over the other delegates. His segmented eyes fixed on Ryan with a predatory gleam. Your presence here is a testament to the Council's leniency. Humanity's history is one of destruction, chaos, and unchecked ambition. Why should we welcome such a species into our ranks? Ryan stepped forward, his movements deliberate and measured. He had anticipated this line of attack. The Zarnak Dominion had been Earth's most vocal opponent. High Chancellor, he began, his voice steady, humanity's history is not without its flaws. But it is precisely because of those challenges that we have evolved. We stand here not as conquerors but as diplomats, seeking to contribute to the prosperity of the galactic community. Murmurs spread through the chamber, some supportive, others skeptical. Varesh's lipless mouth curled into what could only be described as a sneer. Contribute? Your species thrives on conflict. Even now, your world is a patchwork of competing nations. How can we trust a species that cannot even unify its own planet? Ryan took a deep breath. He knew this argument well and had prepared for it. It is true that humanity is diverse, sometimes divided. But that diversity is our strength. We learn from our differences, adapt to challenges, and grow stronger. The fact that I stand here today, representing Earth as one voice, is proof of our capacity for unity and progress. The murmurs grew louder, some delegates nodding in agreement. But Varesh was not finished. He leaned forward, his elongated body casting a shadow over the chamber. Words, he hissed. Nothing but empty words. Humans are predators, and predators cannot be trusted. Ryan held his ground, his gaze unwavering. We are survivors, he countered. Survivors who seek to build, not destroy. Humanity has faced extinction and emerged stronger every time. That resilience is what we bring to this council. The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. For a moment, it seemed as though Ryan's argument might sway the assembly. But then Varesh struck. It happened in an instant. A gleaming blade shot from a concealed mechanism on Varesh's arm, aimed directly at Ryan. The ambassador's reflexes kicked in, but not fast enough. The blade found its mark, piercing his side. Gasps echoed through the chamber as Ryan stumbled, blood staining his suit. Council guards rushed to restrain Varesh, who stood unmoved, his expression one of cold satisfaction. This is what happens when predators are allowed into the fold, he declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. Ryan fell to his knees, clutching his wound. The pain was sharp, but his mind was sharper. He locked eyes with Varesh, a faint smile playing on his lips. You think this is the end? He managed, his voice barely above a whisper. You don't understand humanity at all. The chaos in the chamber was deafening. Alien representatives shouted over one another, some calling for justice, others for humanity's immediate expulsion. But Ryan's words lingered, cutting through the noise like a blade of their own. As his vision dimmed, Ryan's thoughts turned not to despair but to determination. Earth had sent him here knowing the risks, and humanity was never one to leave its own undefended. Somewhere in the depths of space, a plan was already in motion. This wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The silence of the stealth ship was absolute, broken only by the rhythmic hum of its cloaking systems. Deep within its reinforced hull, a solitary figure stirred. Jack Kane, humanity's most lethal operative, awoke from cryostasis with a sharp intake of breath, his body already primed for action. The chamber's AI interface greeted him with a succinct report, detailing the situation he had been pulled from stasis to handle. Kane absorbed the information without a flicker of emotion. The Galactic Council had attacked Ambassador Harper. The Zarnak Dominion, always vocal in their disdain for Earth, had escalated matters into open violence. To the galaxy, this might seem like a political scandal, a momentary lapse in decorum. But Earth knew better. They understood the implications of such an act. This was a declaration of intent. Humanity's place in the galaxy was being challenged, and Kane had been dispatched to ensure the message was clear. Sliding out of the cryopod, Kane moved with the efficiency of a predator. His physique, lean and honed, was a testament to years of rigorous training and augmentation. Kane wasn't just a soldier, he was humanity's failsafe. A shadow weapon activated only when diplomacy failed, when Earth needed a response so definitive that no species would dare question its resolve again. The ship's AI provided updates as Kane suited up in specialized gear, every piece designed for stealth, adaptability, and lethal precision. Mission parameters uploaded, the AI informed. Primary objective: neutralize High Chancellor Varesh. Secondary objective: ensure a clear message is delivered to the Galactic Council. Kane's lips curled into a faint smirk. Understood, he muttered, his voice a gravelly whisper that carried the weight of unshakable confidence. This wasn't the first time he had been sent to deal with an existential threat, and it wouldn't be the last. Humanity's survival had always hinged on individuals like him, those who could do what others couldn't or wouldn't. As the ship entered orbit above the Council station, Kane reviewed the data on his target. Varesh was cunning and ruthless, but like most in power, he had vulnerabilities. Kane's eyes lingered on the details of the Zarnak leader's movements, noting patterns, weaknesses in security, and key moments where a strike could be most effective. Every detail was a puzzle piece, and Kane was already assembling the picture in his mind. He descended from the ship using a personal cloaking device, his form shimmering briefly before disappearing into the ether. The station's security was formidable, but to Kane, it was merely an obstacle to be bypassed. Hacking into the station systems, he disabled key surveillance points, rerouted patrols, and created gaps in the security web large enough for him to slip through undetected. As he moved through the station, Kane's focus was absolute. He passed bustling hallways filled with alien delegates and aides, none aware of the specter in their midst. His mind was a cold, calculating machine, every thought geared toward the mission. Humanity's reputation depended on this. If the galaxy saw Earth as weak, it would embolden others to strike. Kane wasn't here to just avenge Harper. He was here to ensure no one ever dared attack humanity again. In a secured maintenance bay, Kane paused to prepare. From his gear, he retrieved a small device, a multifunctional tool capable of both precision hacking and controlled demolition. Setting it to work, he infiltrated the station's communication systems, implanting a virus that would broadcast his actions to the council chamber at the critical moment. If this was to be a message, it had to be delivered in full view of every delegate. Next, Kane armed himself with weapons designed for maximum impact but minimal collateral damage. Humanity wasn't here to start a war. It was here to end one before it began. A pulse rifle, equipped with non-lethal but incapacitating rounds, hung at his side. Blades forged from advanced alloys were sheathed across his armor, silent and deadly. Kane was a storm waiting to be unleashed. Moving deeper into the station, he approached Varesh's private quarters. The Zarnak leader had surrounded himself with elite guards, their forms bristling with advanced weaponry. Kane studied their movements, identifying the weak points in their formation. A flash grenade, deployed with precision, disoriented the guards long enough for Kane to strike. He moved like a phantom, each attack precise and unrelenting. Within moments, the guards were neutralized, unconscious before they could even register his presence. Standing before the sealed entrance to Varesh's chamber, Kane paused. This was the moment. Humanity had sent a diplomat in good faith, only to have him attacked. Now they had sent Kane, a silent promise that such actions would not go unanswered. Activating a breaching charge, Kane stepped back as the door blasted open, smoke billowing outward. Inside, Varesh turned, his segmented eyes widening in shock. He began, but Kane didn't let him finish. In a blur of motion, he closed the distance, pinning the Zarnak leader against the wall. His blade hovered mere inches from Varesh's throat, the cold steel reflecting the Zarnak's panicked expression. You thought humanity wouldn't respond? Kane's voice was low, almost conversational, but it carried an edge that sent shivers down Varesh's spine. You thought you could attack one of us and walk away? Varesh struggled, his confidence evaporating under Kane's relentless gaze. Your species, he stammered, but Kane silenced him with a sharp press of the blade. This isn't a negotiation, Kane said. This is a warning. Humanity wants peace, but if you test us again, you won't survive the consequences. With a calculated move, Kane activated the virus in the communication systems. The entire council chamber, still in uproar over the attack on Harper, was now watching the scene unfold. Varesh's terrified face filled the holographic displays, his struggles a stark contrast to Kane's composed menace. The message was clear, and it was delivered without mercy. The Zarnak leader's quarters were silent now, save for the faint hum of the Galactic Council Station's environmental systems. Jack Kane stood over High Chancellor Varesh, his blade still at the alien's throat. The Zarnak's multiple eyes darted in every direction, searching for a way out, but there was none. Kane's grip was iron, his presence suffocating. The terror in Varesh's gaze was palpable, and Kane knew the exact effect it would have on the audience watching. This is the galaxy's moment to learn, Kane said, his tone as calm as it was chilling. Earth offered its hand in diplomacy. You answered with blood. He allowed his words to sink in before stepping back, withdrawing the blade but keeping it within sight. Varesh sagged against the wall, his body trembling. Kane didn't need to kill him, not yet. Fear was the first step to control. The broadcast continued as Kane's implants fed him real-time feedback. Delegates across the chamber watched in stunned silence, their voices muted by the stark display of humanity's power and precision. The Zarnak Dominion's guards had fallen, its leader now exposed. Kane turned to the camera feed, addressing not just Varesh but every being watching. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity, he said, his voice steady, deliberate. We may be new to the stars, but we are not weak. We don't start wars, but we will finish them. With a flick of his wrist, Kane activated a command on his suit. Across the station, subtle disruptions began to occur. Energy supplies to Zarnak vessels were cut, their ships immobilized in dock. Security systems flagged every Zarnak operative aboard as a potential threat, isolating them from their allies. The Zarnak Dominion's network of influence within the station was being dismantled in real time. Varesh's expression shifted from fear to realization as he understood the scope of what Kane had orchestrated. You can't, he began, but Kane interrupted him with a cold glare. I already have. Kane stepped back, gesturing to a console in the room. The holographic display showed the Zarnak ships, their engines disabled, their weapon systems offline. This isn't just about you, Varesh. It's about the message you sent when you attacked Harper. That message was clear. Humanity isn't welcome here. So now I'm sending one back. Kane turned to the feed again, ensuring his audience understood the implications. This is restraint. This is humanity holding back. If there's a next time, you won't be so lucky. Varesh's composure broke entirely, his voice rising in desperation. The council won't allow this. They'll see this as an act of war. Kane's eyes narrowed, and he stepped closer. You already made it an act of war when you drew first blood. The difference is we're not here to annihilate. We're here to warn. Humanity doesn't want war, but we're more than capable of surviving one. He turned his back on Varesh, confident the alien posed no threat. The operative's focus shifted to the virus he had unleashed. Within moments, encrypted files from the Zarnak Dominion's private archives began streaming into the Council's systems. Records of secret deals, plots against other members, and plans to destabilize Earth, all laid bare. The Council chamber erupted into chaos as delegates processed the flood of data. The Zarnak Dominion's credibility was collapsing under the weight of its own machinations. Kane allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Information was as potent a weapon as any blade, and humanity had just tipped the scales in its favor. Varesh, now trembling on the floor, muttered incoherently, his once commanding presence reduced to a pitiful shell. Kane crouched beside him, his voice low but cutting. This is the part where you understand your mistake. The part where you realize that humans aren't predators, we're survivors. And survivors always find a way. The broadcast ended abruptly, Kane cutting the feed as he prepared to exit. His work here was nearly done, but there was one final piece to set in place. Moving through the corridors, he planted subtle devices that would ensure his actions left a lasting impression. These weren't explosives. They were markers, signals to remind the Council of Humanity's reach and precision. As he slipped back into the shadows, Kane's mind remained sharp, already analyzing the potential fallout. The Zarnak Dominion was crippled politically, their leader humiliated, their secrets exposed. Humanity's position was no longer one of mere survival. It was one of undeniable presence. Before boarding his stealth ship, Kane paused to send one final message to Earth. It was short, direct, and carried the weight of everything he had accomplished. Mission complete. Message delivered. And with that, Jack Kane disappeared, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. The aftermath of Kane's mission rippled across the Galactic Council like a stone dropped into still water. The delegates, still seated in stunned silence, replayed the broadcast in their minds, each species calculating the implications of what they had witnessed. The Zarnak Dominion's credibility was shattered, their leader exposed as both a conspirator and a coward. But the greater revelation, the one that hung over the chamber like a storm cloud, was humanity's capacity for swift, decisive action. Back on Earth, the response team analyzed the fallout. Reports streamed in from operatives embedded within the Council, detailing the shifting political landscape. Allies who had been hesitant to support Earth were now stepping forward, eager to align themselves with a species that had demonstrated not just power but precision. Neutral parties began reconsidering their positions, weighing the benefits of cooperation against the risks of antagonism. The Zarnak Dominion, however, was not so quick to recover. High Chancellor Varesh was detained by the Council's security forces, his authority revoked pending an investigation into the data Kane had exposed. The evidence of secret plots and sabotage was overwhelming, leaving the Zarnak representatives scrambling to salvage what little remained of their influence. It was a rare moment of accountability in a political system often mired in stagnation. Within the chamber, a special session was called to address the events. Ambassador Ryan Harper, his injuries stabilized but still visible, returned to the podium. His presence was a stark reminder of what had transpired, his calm demeanor masking the physical toll of the attack. Members of the Council, Harper began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Humanity came here in peace, seeking partnership and mutual growth. What happened was not just an attack on me but on the very principles this Council stands for. His words resonated in the room, the delegates unable to deny the truth. Harper continued, his tone firm but not accusatory. Let me be clear, humanity does not seek conflict. We came here to build alliances, to learn, and to contribute. But we will not be victimized. We will defend ourselves, and we will hold those who threaten us accountable. The chamber was silent as Harper paused, his gaze sweeping across the gathered species. What happened with the Zarnak Dominion is a tragedy, but it is also an opportunity. An opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to this Council's values, to ensure that no member, no matter how powerful, is above accountability. The delegates shifted uncomfortably, the weight of his words pressing down on them. The Council had long been criticized for its inability to enforce its own rules, its tendency to let influential members act with impunity. Harper's speech was a direct challenge to that status quo, a call for action that could not be ignored. As the session adjourned, whispers filled the air. Some species expressed admiration for humanity's resilience and clarity. Others viewed the events with suspicion, questioning whether Earth's demonstration of strength was a veiled threat. But one thing was certain. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been cemented, not as a fragile newcomer but as a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, aboard his stealth ship, Kane monitored the unfolding developments. The mission had gone exactly as planned, but his work was far from over. Earth's strategy was long-term, designed to ensure that humanity was not just respected but indispensable. Kane's actions had been a statement, but they were also a foundation for the future. The AI chimed, interrupting his thoughts. Incoming message from Earth Command. Kane opened the channel, his expression unreadable as the familiar voice of his handler came through. Mission parameters exceeded expectations. The voice said, "You've set the stage. Now it's up to the diplomats to solidify our position. Return to base for debriefing." Kane acknowledged the order with a brief nod. As the ship accelerated toward Earth, he allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humanity's survival had always been tied to its ability to adapt, to respond to challenges with ingenuity and resolve. The galaxy had now seen that firsthand. Back on the Galactic Council station, the delegates faced an uncertain future. Humanity's bold response had forced them to confront their own complacency, to reevaluate the dynamics of power and cooperation. For the first time in centuries, the Council had been shaken from its inertia, compelled to act. And at the heart of it all was a single truth. Humanity was no longer just a participant in the galactic community. It was a force capable of shaping its destiny.